praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh, to our Hashem Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Rachak Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, a great millstone, peace and blessings to the hopefully elect the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, whoever you may be, to I say Shalom, Shalom. All right, we're going to get into another AI chat. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, lest Satan should get the advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Ignorant means to not know. And his devices, well, let's talk about what he's got going on here. So this is the first article here. I actually saw a second one that I haven't read yet because it just popped up. I was looking for a video that I saw yesterday, but it's gone now. I should have went into it and listened to it yesterday. If I find it again, maybe I'll listen to it. Hopefully I do, Lord willing. But I have this article I want to pull up real quick. Not too heavy, not gonna be too long. But then the second article that just popped up, I also want to get into that as well. As a matter of fact, let me see here. Let me pause real quick. Okay, yeah. So the other article I got ain't too heavy, just about ICE protests and stuff like that, but it's not in line with this. So it says UAE pledges $1 billion for African AI expansion amid scrutiny over Sudan conflict ties. Right, United Arab Emirates, that's the UAE, pledges $1 billion for African AI artificial intelligence expansion amid scrutiny over Sudan conflict ties. All right. So the United Arab Emirates unveiled a $1 billion artificial intelligence initiative at the G20 summit, positioning AI as key to economic and social development. Okay, so why is this a thing around the earth? Right, it said they're positioning AI to be the key to economic and social development. Okay, so in other words, uh, uh, so to speak, they're saying that the digital way is the way to go. All right, because all these countries are going to do away with their paper currency of their country, and they're all going to go digital. They're going to give you the digital banks. They're going to give you, the CHIPS and all these different things. Everything's going to go digital. So positioning AI as key to economic and social development. And, Lord willing, when I look at some news later, maybe I'll find something that's based on this. Not really sure. But continuing on, it says, the announcement comes from, I'm sorry, the announcement comes amid UN investigations linking Abu Dhabi to Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, accused of atrocities with evidence of AI-generated propaganda and weapon sales. Okay, UAE Africa trade hit $107 billion in 2024, while the UAE builds a massive data center hub using U.S. tech to cement its global. Let me read it again. UAE Africa trade hit $107 billion in 2024, while the UAE builds a massive data center hub. Okay, and is that a major talk right now about in Babylon? All right, data centers being built up. Okay, that's part of his infrastructure for this new system. Okay, and they're they've always been heavy into, but they're definitely even more so heavier now into data collection, because everything they want to pretty much consolidate and put on these chips. Okay, to be able to identify every single person as well as control them. It says, yep, data center hub using U.S. tech to cement its global AI leadership. Critics argue that UAE's humanitarian tech agenda clashes with alleged human rights abuses, raising questions about accountability in its African investments. The UAE's G20 presence reflects its economic influence, but its dual-track strategy, promoting AI progress while facing accusations of fueling conflict, leaves its reputation in Africa at a crossroads. We shouldn't really care about all of that. You see here. The United Arab Emirates, the UAE, announced a $1 billion initiative on Saturday, November 22nd, to expand artificial intelligence, which I believe that's that same around that same meeting where Elon Musk was talking about, AI and stuff like that. He sees that one day money will be obsolete or something like that. He said, a world where working will be optional. All this madness, but this is, which is not, as much as madness as reality, because this is what Esau is trying to put in place, for the world, starting at Babylon the Great, or maybe not starting, because some places are more advanced than Babylon, right? Or now I won't say advanced, but they're ahead of the game than Babylon the Great. Okay, that's why when it hits Babylon, it's going to be so heavy. Okay, because it's going to be, it's going to be out of the blue. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, same thing there. AI infrastructure across Africa. Okay, so to expand artificial intelligence, all right, this is what it's saying here. Okay, on Saturday, November 22nd. Okay, a billion dollar initiative to expand artificial intelligence infrastructure across Africa. Okay, framing the investment as a tool for economic growth and social development. So that's what they're saying here. The plan unveiled at the G20 summit in Johannesburg aims to integrate AI into education, healthcare, and climate adaptation, even as international investigations intensify into Abu Dhabi's alleged support for Sudan's rapid support forces, a paramilitary group accused of mass atrocities. The dual track strategy highlights the UAE's deepening economic ambitions in Africa while raising ethical concerns about its geopolitical influence. All right, AI as a development catalyst. All right, UAE Minister of State Saeed bin Mubarak Al Hajiri described the AI for Development initiative as a transformative project. We may look that up in a separate lesson. I'll copy it though on my clipboard. AI for Development initiative as a transformative project, positioning AI as a cornerstone of humanity's future. Look, light it up. Okay, this is what they're saying, because this is what Esau dreams of. All right, him being in eternal rulership. All right, having power over all the people. As slaves shipped up. Okay, and AI governing things. Right, but no, all those things are figured out already on the right hand side. Okay, Lord Yahushua, and then his governing body, which are the 144,000 men. That's already all figured out. But Esau, as we spoke about once before, Esau wants to artificially create the blessing for Jacob, for himself, on the left hand side through his witchcraft, sorcery, magic, and the number one thing being his digital system, his digital age. All right, through technology, AI as a cornerstone of humanity's future. Oh, what does Dr. Evil say? A fusion of man and machine. Okay, so yeah, the program seeks to hoster digital infrastructure. Oh, let me light that back up. Okay, says that's this the bulk of it right here. All right. So UAE Minister of State, whatever his name is, Saeed, described AI for Development initiative as a transformative project, positioning AI as a cornerstone of humanity's future. The program seeks to bolster digital infrastructure in African nations, where hold on, my screen's cracked, where AI applications could streamline public services and private sector innovation. All right, so bilateral trade between the UAE and Africa surge. I don't care about all that. Um, Domestically, the UAE is constructing one of the world's largest data center hubs, leveraging U.S. technologies to solidify its role as a global AI leader. See, and this is a question that's always asked: how is it that I have an enemy somewhere halfway across the world, and we're all thinking about the same thing? It's because it's all planned out. All right, my enemy is not thinking about, hey, one day, he just wake up, let's have a meeting. You know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to have digital banks. We're going to do digital currency. Okay, we're gonna think about microchips. And then my enemy across the world just woke up one day with the same idea. Don't work like that. Okay, it's all part of the well, not really system, but it's all part of what's to go down. All right, they're all in line with taking everything digital and microchipping everybody. Okay, because at the end of the day, they rather continue uh, uh, living like they're living, even if they have to bicker amongst themselves, as long as they can keep the Israelites from being in power. Okay, controversial geopolitical footprint. Despite its economic overtures, the UAE faces mounting allegations of fueling violence in Sudan. I don't really read into all that. I don't really care about that little backdrop there. I just want to, give me the AI stuff. Okay, what's this? Oh, okay, that's a whole other video. Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of that one. So that was that main paragraph right there that we got up here somewhere. Yeah, right here under AI as development catalyst. That was the main gist of it right there. Okay, and this was from Natural News titled "UAE pledges $1 billion for African AI expansion and amid scrutiny over Sudan conflict ties." All right. So how's that tying in with Sudan conflict ties? But we know there always has to be some kind of backdrop. All right, as to why they're doing something. So let's go and get the next one. All right. So this title is straight to the point. UN campaign aims to enroll 50 countries in digital ID initiative by 2028. Okay, read it again. UN campaign aims to enroll 50 countries in digital ID initiative by 2028. This is dated November the 25th. Um, I haven't had a chance to read this one yet, so we're going in it blind. So let's see what it has for us. So the UN's 50 and 5. Yeah, the UN's 50 and 5 campaign, backed by the Gates Foundation, aims to implement digital public infrastructure, or DPI. Okay, hey, the brother just talked about this morning, all right? DPI, the digital public infrastructure, in 50 countries by 2028, including digital IDs. Look, check this out, including, let me light it up. All right, so right here, including digital IDs, payment systems, and data sharing platforms, framed as progress but criticized as a tool for centralized. There you go. See, a tool for centralized control, because that's what it's all about. All right, controlling the people. And when if they can get the people chipped up, that's that form of control, because now they control everything that's basic about you, as well as anything that's more advanced. All right. They'll know everything about you, whether it be your whereabouts, right, knowing your location at all times. On top of that, you have things like Palantir. Okay. um, they're trying to fool around with pre-com, trying to make that a thing. Okay, pre-crime, stuff like that. Building robots, robot dogs, 15-minute cities, UBI, social credit scores. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. But this is, all the things that factor in the system that Esau is trying to establish in this earth. Okay, and it's a system of complete control over the people. All right, digital slaves, digital IDs, centralized biometric data, fingerprints, facial scans. All right, and what a one of the biggest talks right now. All right, digital IDs. Okay, I might look into that 50 and 5 campaign after this. It says digital ID, centralized biometric data. Okay, which are what, fingerprints, facial scans, and track personal activities. Okay. Oh, it's beautiful, because I just mentioned the other day. My sister was telling me about how her job wants them to have access to their location all the time, not just at work, which I don't know why they would need it at work, but even outside of work. Okay, but this is what Esau wants to know. He wants to know everything about everybody, because he has this God complex. He wants to be God. Okay, he wants to play the Most High. Right. So it says track personal activities, so what you do in your daily life, raising fears of mass surveillance, yep, social credit systems, and loss of privacy under the guise of convenience and financial inclusion. See, and so that's what's happening right now, currently in China, man. Okay, they pretty much have zero privacy. Everywhere they go, they have to scan in a QR code. Okay, they have to have one of two apps, we WeChat or the Alipay, which is on their phone. So everywhere they go, they have to have their phone with them. Okay, which up there they constantly are checking into their social credit scoring system, or their social credit score. So it doesn't matter if you go to a shop or hotel or whatever. There's a QR code that they scan, and what that does is it's tracking you pretty much. So when you go to, let's say they go to some shopping center, they scan the QR code, okay, and then while they're there, all right, they'll be able to be monitored of what they bought, or maybe even how long that they spent there, or all these different things there, okay. And then further later on, if they want to make a purchase, all that stuff ties in, which is all funneled through their phone. So China's already ready for the next level. China's the closest one who's ready for the next level, which is the Apple microchip, because those people over there cannot live without their cell phones, which is attached to their social credit scoring system through their apps, which they even have facial recognition. That the woman in the video paid for an item in a vending machine using facial recognition. So China's already geared up for the next level, which is the actual seed. Okay, so they want to bring all those things over there to America, right? Um, Countries like India, Ethiopia, Vietnam, and Thailand are making digital IDs mandatory for banking. Yep, see, CBDC. All right, Central Bank Digital Currency is what it stands for. CBDC. All right, keyword being digital banks. All right, Central Bank Digital Currency. So they're making digital IDs. Look, making digital IDs mandatory. Okay, for banking, education, travel, and even oh wow, even internet access. See, so you are not going to be able to get up there and just Google, okay, or YouTube or whatever that people might use the internet for. All right, without being passed through a digital access, or I guess like it says, digital IDs. Example given: Papua New Guinea's Sevis Pass, freezing accounts or restricting services for non-compliance. Tech giants like Apple are integrating digital IDs into corporate ecosystems. Example given: U.S. passports and Apple Wallet. Yeah, we should talk about that. While while governments and international bodies fast track adoption with minimal public debate, mirroring pandemic era tactics of rapid top down implementation. Uh, Critics warn this system will replace inherent rights with revocable digital privilege. Yeah, see, they're making everything seem like it's a privilege to you. Okay, I think there was one statement they made where they're talking about water being a privilege. No, water is freely given on the earth by the Heavenly Father. Okay, and our forefathers built wells. Okay, but they're trying to tell you that water is not a right, but it's a privilege. Okay, well, who the hell are you? But that's the thing, though. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Job 9:24. See, the wicked that the earth was given into the hands of was talking about Esau, Edom, these top elite bankers. All right, so there you go. So of course, if the earth has been given into their hands for this moment, okay, then yes, they will, well, they not will, they have stated that, okay, water is going to be something like a privilege. They're telling you things like working is going to be optional. Why is that? Because they want everybody to be under their microchip system with a social credit score and a universal basic income. Okay, so and that's why he was trying to equate working um, to like to grocery shopping. Like you can either grow it, or you can just go into the grocery store. You can get it instantly. Right? Elon Musk is talking about. So, anyways, critics warn this system will replace inherent rights with revocable digital privileges. Okay, so that's the key thing. It says revocable. I mean, we could take this away. And that's why it's called a privilege, a digital privilege, and it's revocable because we control it. All right, there's nothing you can do about it. Enabling asset seizure, censorship, and lockdowns under the pretext of emergencies, solidify a global architecture of control. In a move critics are calling an unprecedented consolidation of digital power. A United Nations initiative backed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is accelerating plans to enroll 50 nations in a global digital identity system by 2028. And why is this, man? Okay, because it's all part of prophecy, man. All right, Revelation chapter 13, man. No man can buy or sell save either had the mark of the beast or the number of his name. All right, the CHIP, the microchip, okay, dubbed the 50M5 campaign. Okay, the effort has already secured commitments from at least 30 countries. Wow, and he said 50. Okay, and that's the majority right there. 30 countries since its launch in late 2023, signaling a rapid top-down transformation of how citizens across the world will prove who they are. See, look, there you go. They're saying it right out. Okay, a top-down transformation. Okay, a changing of you got passports and driver's license and social security cards and things of that nature. No, we're going to take everything digital and grab your biometrics. All right, top-down transformation of how citizens across the world will prove who they are. See, and it's all through digital identification based on biometrics. This push runs parallel to the European Union's own mandate for a digital wallet for all member states by 2025. Yeah, UN telling them the people that, hey, unless you have the digital ID, that you can't work. Okay, same thing's coming here for America. It says, however, it has raised alarm among civil liberties advocates who see the fingerprints of a new global architecture for potential surveillance and control. And it says digital ID systems are electronic versions of physical identity. I just said that, you see? Just said that, same thing. Digital ID systems are electronic versions of physical identification documents. See? Driver's license, passports, or anything else that you could think of, okay? Any kind of form of identification. Just take it all digital and it'll run through our system. We'll be able to identify you by all the other data we collected on you. And then, got your data compiled together, okay, and your face attaches to it, and you match all this collection of data that we have. So there's no denying and mistaking who you are. But they want to take it a step further by microchipping you. So, there's no you escaping that system. And then we got total control over you, see? Digital ID systems are electronic versions of physical identification documents stored on a smartphone. Proponents argue they streamline access to services and foster financial inclusion. And I'm glad they mentioned smartphone because we just mentioned China, right? For like second or third time now. Those Chinese people over there cannot live without their cell phones because of the system that's been set in place, mainly the social credit score system. But in their phone, they got the WeChat app or the Alipay app, and they gotta always be on top of their social credit score system. They gotta check in with QR codes and all these different things. Okay, so it's a whole. And what do they say? They got one camera for every 10 people in China. So this is all part of what? A system of control, but it's not the peak of the level yet. The peak of it, all right, is what the scriptures talk about, the microchip. See, that's the peak of it, and China is they're ready and set for that. Okay, with the system that's in China right now, the next level for the Chinese people is just to microchip these people, but they still got a couple steps to get over. In places like here in America, Babylon the Great. Okay, and then you see other countries moving towards it. I mean, the speech recently, the prime minister telling these people in the UK that they're not going to be able to work without having a digital identity. That's a step up to what? Move them towards the microchip. See? So it says, but the core technology allows for the centralized collection of vast amounts of personal data, including biometrics like fingerprints and facial scans. This creates a comprehensive digital footprint. See? They can know who you are, where you are, all times, and control you. Okay. Um, of an individual's activities, a feature that fuels the fears of those who distrust the intentions of global elites and centralized institutions. And that's where that mass surveillance comes in at, okay? Because they have what we mentioned earlier, they have a God complex. They wanna be God. It says that in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. They want to sit in the seat of the Most High. It also says it in Isaiah 14. They want to be the Most High. They want to control the earth. All right, stop the Lord from coming back. All right, microchip everybody, which is the way they're trying to control the earth under their system, man. All right, all through their digital technology. Um, it goes on to say in India, the Aadhaar digital ID is now indispensable for over a billion citizens. You should see, look, required for, and it says indispensable for over a billion citizens. Required for actions from opening a bank account, look, see, to enrolling a child in school. See, so that puts pressures on the parents. Like, hey, want to get your little, your little one in the school. Well, guess what? They're part of this system too. See, or they have to be a part of the system. And the scriptures say that they don't care. It says, how's it worded? I think it says old or young, rich or poor. I forget exactly how it's worded. I'm forgetting at the moment. Okay, but yeah, Revelation 13. All right, the MOTB, the mark of the beast. All right, this digital system. All right. But let's keep going. It says in India, the digital ID is now indispensable for over 1 billion citizens, required for actions from the opening a bank from opening a bank account to enrolling a child in school. Similarly, Ethiopia is aggressively rolling out its FAIDA, I guess that's how you pronounce it, FAYDA, if I don't know how FAIDA ID for all 90 million citizens by 2027. See, making it compulsory for accessing bank accounts and public services. All right, notice how the bank account is coming up. Okay, because what? Digital banks. All right, no more dollars, no more yens, no more euros, no more rubles, no more pesos, no more paper currency. Period. Okay, I think they're going to completely do away with the printing of, not printing, but the making of pennies. I read that somewhere recently. They're going to stop, fully stop making pennies. I think there's a couple more places still making pennies, but they're going to stop making pennies because ultimately, it's not needed. All right, coinage and paper currency is not going to be needed in Esau's, new wicked world he's trying to create, which is digital currency. Okay, as we talked about before, the cryptocurrency, when they talked about that, okay, where it has the 1-to-1 ratio. So for every $1, you get 1 Bitcoin. That was to ease people over into that, okay, into being more digital. Because if it's $20 to every 1 Bitcoin, you might not be so persuaded to buy because you're like, well, I got to spend $20 for 1 Bitcoin. That's not a win for me. But with the 1-to-1 ratio, every $1 is equal 1 Bitcoin. So it kind of moves people over into that. Okay. But anyways, the coercion is even more stark in nations like Vietnam and Thailand. Vietnam has frozen at least 86 million bank accounts for non-compliance with its VNeID system. See, unfortunately, which will soon be required for domestic flights. Yep, Thailand has frozen millions because when they make your passports digital, you don't have it, which we spoke about an article recently where they're saying as of now you don't have to have the digital form of a passport, but if you don't have it, you're going to get asked more questions. You're going to get pulled to the side. You got to go through these loops, and then you got to pay $18, and then you might not still get cleared. So then you might still not be able to pick up on your flight, or miss your flight, or delayed, or whatever the case may be. And eventually, they're just going to make it mandatory anyways. Where you wanted to catch a flight, well, you have to have a digital passport. It's like the driver's license, digital IDs, digital everything, because everything's going digital. Because they want to be able to track and trace everybody. Okay, it says Thailand has frozen millions of accounts and will soon mandate its Thai ID for all passengers on public transport. You see, just public transport. You see that, and that's something that's low level and simple. In countries without a history of robust national ID systems, digital identification is being introduced post haste. All right, Nigeria's NIN or NIN and Kenya's Maisha number are prime examples. Reports indicate that Nigeria has subtly reduced the amount of physical cash in circulation to pressure its population into obtaining the digital ID to use card-based payments. Okay, which that was a form of gradualism. All right, that was a form of gradualism where they, credit cards and stuff like that. They started creating self-checkout counters to get you used to that. Okay, because they want to microchip everybody. Well, now you're just gonna wave your hand. See, simple, convenient, quick, fast. But they gotta also desensitize you to it. Global push for digital IDs mirrors COVID lockstep tactics. All right, I'm not gonna get to that. Uh, says the infrastructure for this digital future is not solely a government project. Tech giant Apple has launched a digital ID feature for its wallet app in the United States, allowing users to create an identity using their U.S. passport data. This move integrates a core function of citizenship into a corporate controlled ecosystem. For many observers, the playbook feels familiar. The rapid, globally synchronized push for digital ID mirrors the lockstep methodology witnessed during the Wuhan coronavirus pandemic. Critics argue that the same actors and institutions are now using the same tactics, leveraging a message of security and convenience to bypass uh, through or thorough public debate. All right, probably supposed to say through, but anyways. Most human developments are in nations where the digital ID is becoming the key to the digital world itself. In Papua New Guinea, government policy now supports requiring a national digital ID, SEVIS pass, which that was mentioned up above, simply to access the internet and social media. Look, hey, you don't think they want to bring that to here to Babylon? Okay, with all this truth flowing on the internet, Babylon the Great being the heart of where all this is trying to stem from. Okay, you got prophets over here in Babylon the Great speaking about these things, speaking against the system, and so on and so forth. You don't think they want to do the same thing here? This creates a world where dissent can be silenced by revoking a single digit. See, look, by revoking a single digital identity. But the thing is, they got to get you into the digital identity. So if you don't go into it, you're not going to be able to access these things anyway. So that's them, pretty much trying to cover all their tracks. Because if you're not in line with it, you're not going to have access to it anyways. And if you are in line with it and you get out of line, they would cut you off from it. So yeah, they're trying to, they're covering both sides of it. Much more to you. I might watch that video, but not here. I'll just finish reading this article here, and then maybe I'll probably, if I can, I'll watch the video on my own and see what it's about, how long it is, and whether we can get into it or not. It says a digital ID is presented as necessary for the authorities to have a mechanism to control and seize private assets during a declared national emergency, which they can do that. Most people don't understand, all right, that America can come and take, they can raid your house and take your food out of your pantry. They can take your car. They can shut down the plane, the airports. They can shut down train stations, and there's a lot of things that they can do, through laws that they can pass or executive orders that and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that they can do, and a lot of American people are not aware of that because they think what they think that they have rights. Okay, so yeah, it says the justification given would be that your money in your bank accounts would be used to wow. It says that your money in the justification given would be that your money in your bank accounts would be used to save America. It says that you probably got people that believe it. Therefore, from this perspective, it is framed as a tool of state control, making it seem mandatory for that purpose. Okay, it says It says the campaign is also being exported. Zambia, for instance, is now receiving direct help from Ethiopia to build its own system, suggesting a templated approach to digital governance is being disseminated globally. The global march toward digital identity represents a fundamental reordering of the relationship between the citizen and the state, framed as a tool for progress. Its rapid, compulsory rollout and integration with every facet of daily life paints a darker picture for its skeptics. Yeah, because people are seeing through, some people anyways are seeing through the madness. Like this is not something that we want at all. As this infrastructure solidifies, the world is racing toward a future where the right to participate in society is no longer an inherent birthright, but a permission. Wow. Stored digitally and revocable at the swipe of. Yep. Who's going to control that? The bankers. See? They'll be able to shut your chip off. All right. If you're not in line with what they're saying, or if you make a speech or type something online, they deem hate speech or thought crime and all this kind of madness right here. Okay, so yeah, this is what they're working up to. I'll hit this real quick, see what it says. How long? Okay, 10 minutes. So yeah, maybe I'll watch this video on my own. Plus, I got my Bluetooth in, so you're not gonna be able to hear it anyways. But yeah, so that was those two articles there. As a matter of fact, I did say I was gonna look into the UN 50 and 5 campaign. But what I'll do is end this here and look that up on my own, and Lord willing, as the Spirit allows, we'll come back and loop back around because I also have something that I say to my clipboard that I want to pull up. So maybe we'll do those two things together, possibly even that video, depending on what's in it. So as for now, we're gonna leave it at that. So that's what the last article here says. UN campaign aims to enroll 50 countries in a digital ID initiative by 2028. All right. So we see where this is heading, and they're moving fast. All right. So Lord willing, you edify. Shalom.